This will be our video for Chapter 8, Lesson 1. This lesson is all about circumference. And when you hear the word circumference, you should think about a circle. So here I have a circle, and what we want to do is we want to talk about the three important line segments within a circle. So those important segments are radius, diameter, and chord. In your notes, you are asked to label radius, diameter, and chord in a diagram very similar to this. So first thing, let's talk about a radius. A radius is a line segment that starts at the center of the circle and travels all the way to the edge of the circle. So line segment XA is a radius. I hope that you can see some other radii in this circle diagram. Remember, a radius is anything that starts at the center and travels out to the edge of the circle. Here's another one. Starts at the center, travels out to the edge of the circle. A diameter is a little different from a radius. A diameter is a line segment that starts at the edge of the circle, passes through the center, and ends at the other edge of the circle. Kind of cuts the circle right in half. Finally, we can talk about a chord. A chord is just a line segment that has its two endpoints on the circle. So technically, line segment DE is a chord. Line segment BC is also a chord. It's just a special kind of chord that passes through the center. And that's when we call it a diameter. So those three vocab words are very important. Label them on your diagram, and then you can go ahead, pause the video, and complete questions 2A through 2D. These will review your three vocab words here: radius, diameter, and chord. Okay, hopefully you have finished 2A through 2D. Now we can start talking more about circumference. Circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle. When I think about circumference, I think about the crust of a pizza. The crust of the pizza is the part that's on the edge. If I wanted to, I could cut that crust off and I could stretch it out, and it would create a nice long line like that. And I could get a ruler or a tape measure or a yardstick, and I could measure that distance, like the distance around the circle. So that's what circumference is. Circumference is measured in linear units. These are just plain old inches, centimeters, feet, yards, miles. The best way to think of circumference is that it's like the perimeter of a circle. Circumference has two formulas. I give you both of these and let you choose which one you want to use. The first formula is C equals 2 times pi times r. R stands for the radius. If I give you a problem with the radius in it, you're going to want to use that formula. The other formula is C equals pi times the diameter. These formulas make sense because if you look, I'll go back to my picture here. If you look at a radius, I've got a radius right here in green, line segment XC, and if I put another radius together with it, line segment BC, they form the full diameter. So these formulas make sense because 2 times the radius is the same as 1 diameter, and that's how they're linked together. Again, if you get the radius in the problem, use this formula. If you're given the diameter, use the diameter formula. Just a really fast review on what pi is. Pi is the ratio of the circumference of the circle to its diameter. So if we measured that distance around the pizza and put it on top, measured the diameter of the pizza and put it on the bottom, and if we divided that, we're going to get this decimal, 3.14159, and it keeps on going and going and going. That number is pi. And that holds true for every circle that you can draw. The ratio of its circumference to diameter is pi. Just remember, for us, we will abbreviate pi and we are going to use 3.14, so we round at the hundredths place. But you may also see estimations for pi of 22/7. So if you ever see that, if they ever tell you to use 22/7 for pi, just substitute that in place of pi in the problem. Let's take a look at a practice problem. This is number 1 from your notes. It says, what is the circumference of a circle with a 5-inch radius? Well, the first thing that I do for any of these problems is I draw a diagram. I draw a picture because my brain needs a picture to make sense. So it's real simple. I just drew a circle. They told me that the radius is 5 inches, so I made a radius and I labeled it with 5 inches. So now I have a choice of which circumference formula I want to use. Remember, I have c equals 2 pi r, and I have c equals pi d. In this case, since they're telling me the radius of the problem, I'm going to use the radius formula. So I'm not going to use c equals pi d right now. So here's the way I want you to show your work. Always start off by writing the formula. Then, underneath, we are going to substitute everything we need in the problem. We know that we are using 3.14 for pi, and our radius is 5 inches. At this time, we're going to simplify this part of the equation, and we're going to figure out what that circumference is equal to. Now, we have a multiplication problem here. I'm going to do this a little out of order. I'm going to multiply 2 times 5, use the commutative property to change the order of my numbers, because 2 times 5 is 10. And then when I go to multiply 10 times 3.14, I know that multiplying a number by 10 means that I just move the decimal one place to the right. So that tells me that the circumference is 31 4/10. Now I just have to figure out my measurement, or my units, and I'm going to use inches because this is circumference, and circumference is just a linear distance around a circle. So it's kind of like the perimeter of the circle. So that's our work here. C equals 2 pi r, do our substitution, do our multiplication, and we end up with our circumference. Let's look at number 2. Mark cut down an old tree in his backyard. The diameter of the trunk was 42 inches across, so I drew a picture of a circle with a 42-inch diameter. It says, what was the circumference of the tree? So this time we're given the diameter, so I'm going to use the diameter formula, C equals pi d. Please remember, I want to see that formula written down in your notes. Pi is 3.14 and d is 42. If we go ahead and finish that up, I'm going to do this multiplication really quickly on a calculator. And I'll do 3.14 times 42. I'm getting 131 88/100ths. If you have a calculator handy, you can use it for this. If not, just go ahead and do the long multiplication. Remember, this is circumference, so the units are linear inches. And there's my circumference. Just remember, if they give you the diameter, you want to use c equals pi d. If they give you the radius, you want to use c equals 2 pi r. Your assignment for tonight, do 2a through 2d at the top of page 3. You should have already done this when we paused the video. Do number 3 at the bottom of page 3, and then I want you to do number 4 at the top of page 4. So I'm going to give you a hint here. For number 4, it's half of a pizza, okay? So half of a pizza looks like this, and you're asked to find the circumference, which means you need half of the circumference of the circle, and then don't forget this piece here and this piece here. That's all part of the distance around that pizza. So you'll have to do a little bit of fancy math here. Don't forget to do your Google form. Also, you want to update your note card to include your 2 circumference formulas. you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget that Google form.